it's a little like lovin', and I wonder how many people picked the voice. You didn't? Well, it was Melbourne's own Dorothy Baker, and Dorothy is my special studio guest. Welcome to Golden Days.
Thank you very much, Alex.
It's lovely to see you, Dorothy.
It's lovely to be here.
And that piece of music was brilliant. I adore that track. Where was that recorded?
That was recorded in London and with, brain.
George Martin.
George Martin, that's right.
He was the MD?
He was the MD. He was also the MD for the Beatles. I was recording in that studio and Shirley Bassey was in the one opposite.
And what year are we talking
We're
about?
talking about 63.
Wonderful. That's
long
terrific.
time ago.
Now, I said Melbourne's own, and you are Melbourne's own, because people would remember you from variety television, sadly no longer with us. Where were you born?
I was born in Footscray, right next to the Pal Hotel, which was very convenient for my dad.
Yes.
And and I grew up and lived in Footscray all my life until I got married.
I was a Newport boy.
Oh, really? We probably went to the same dances.
You never know.
The Arama Ballroom
That's the
and St Augustine's in Yarraville.
Yes, yes, know that well.
Yeah.
But so you're born in Footscray, and
I went to St John's Catholic School in Eleanor Street, just down from the hospital.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, and,
were Mum and Dad in the business at all?
No, I'm very proud. My mother used to be ashamed, and she used to say, "Don't tell anybody what your father does." And I said, "Of course I'll tell everybody. He's a wharfie." He's a wharf labourer.
Really?
And you know, my best backup fans in those days, before television, and I was singing on the radio, on Christie's and all those competitions in those days, all the wharfies used to knock off work just to listen. They were good,
Well,
mates.
you must have been absolutely rapt at that, because that was something terrific.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, they did knock off a few times. They had that reputation, didn't they?
Well, yes. Now, so what got you in this love of music and singing? What?
Well, it didn't. I left school at 15. I hated school, and they said, "Oh, look, she can do a commercial course. She's not going to go to intermediate. She's not interested, right?"
Yeah.
And I'd be going to the dances. I'd be sneaking out the front door and going to the dance when I was 14.
Yeah.
And I left school and I worked several places as a typist, Monsanto Chemicals and the Undertakers in Footscray.
Yes.
And he frightened me, so I left. And Mr. Nelson. And,
Oh, that's right.
Nelson's the Undertaker.
Yes, I remember.
And I worked at the Mutual Store, and I ended up as secretary to the interstate manager at Foy & Gibson's. And there I stayed for a couple of years. And when I was 18, I used to live in a big house. My grandfather was a local dentist in Footscray, and he had a big house, and my auntie and uncle, mum and dad, cousins, all lived in this big house. And I used to sing in the bath just like most people do.
Yes.
And it was a great bathroom, it had a great echo. And my auntie, I came home from work one day and my auntie said, "You're going on Christie's radio auditions." And I said, "Oh, what am I going to do there? I don't know any songs to sing." She said, "You're going and you'll learn one." And I sang That Old Feeling, and I got 3 gongs and the award of the night. And so she put me into Talent Tote, and from Talent Tote, Are You an Artist? And then from Are You an Artist, I went to P&A Parade.
Yes.
And the one year they had it on the television, I won the television and the radio, and it was the same year that Dinah Trask was on. She won the most potential. I got £200 and she got 1,000. And everybody wanted to know if I won the pop section, how she got more than I did.
Oh, that's marvellous.
Anyway, you wanted to know. Do you want to ask me questions, or
No,
just
you
keep going?
You keep talking, because, I mean, you're doing my job. That's terrific.
Well, after that, one of the prizes that I won was to sing in the Botanical Gardens with Don Harper's band. And the popular singers of the day were Anne Lane, Ray Dixon, Vic West, Pam Corrigan, and I got to sing with them, the big orchestra, first time I ever had. And Ray Dixon said to me, "Why don't you come out?" Well, first of all, it was Vic West. He was singing at the Masonic in Collins Street. He said, "Come and have an audition." So I got in the tram and I went and I had an audition, and he had me in tears. I was a very sensitive, shy child at 18. And they said to me, don't call us, we'll call you. And I walked out and I was in tears.
Yes.
And my boyfriend was with me and he said, well, don't cry, love. Let's go out to Ziegfeld's to the dance. And when we got there, Ray Dixon was there and he said to Billy Glennon, this girl can sing, get her on the stage. And I got on, and after I'd finished, the boss of Ziegfeld's, Bernie Wallace, came rushing down and he said, I'll give you a job 3 nights a week for 3 guineas a night. And I thought, oh, wow. You know, I was getting 10 guineas working 5.5 days a week as a secretary. And I thought, all this money, wow. I said, but I don't know any songs. He said, that's all right. You'll learn them. I can't read music. I still can't read music. I was just lucky enough to get the feel of a 4-bar intro. I couldn't count bars in. If a musician says to me, count in what tempo you want, even now I say, oh, don't ask me to do that. I don't know how to do that. You just give me the 4 bars and I'll come in, or the 8 bars, whatever. And so that's how I did it. And when television started, well, before that, one of the bass player left Ziegfeld's and went to work at the Savoy Plaza. And he said to me, why don't you come in for an audition? And I said, oh, look, I can only sing with the band. I can't do a floor show. I don't know how to do a floor show. He said, well, come in and have an audition. So I went in, and the managing director of Federal Hotels was a man called Oliver Shaw. And he was at the audition, and he said, I'll give you a job. He said, but first of all, I want you to go home and learn some Vera Lynn songs. And I said, who's Vera Lynn? And he said, well, go home, find out, learn some songs, and I will give you a job here at Federal Hotels, which he did. And for quite a few years, I did floor shows at Federal, Menzies, Savoy, and then went out and did Ziegfeld's. And after that, I'd do a ball somewhere. You know, so with all the experience that I had, they were looking for people with experience when television started. And so I don't even know who it was that approached me and said, would you like to sing on Channel 7 on our first show of The Late Show? Which I did with Noel Ferrier. And that's my husband was working in the band. He was a trumpet player. But he was married and I wasn't interested. It was only many, many years later, after his wife died, and I felt sorry for him. He asked me out and I said, oh, poor Ron, I better go. Poor Ron, you know. And we ended up getting married when I was in my 30s. And then we adopted a little girl, and 4 weeks later I was pregnant with a little girl, and so on. Anyway, I started at The Late Show, and after Noel, I was there every week with Lou Tapano's band. And I really wanted to get on to 9 because everybody wanted to be on 9 because it was always the better station. And after Noel left, Bert Newton came to Channel 7, and then after that I happened to say to Oliver Shaw, who was advertising Federal Hotels on Channel 9, I said, oh, I'd really like to go on Channel 9. He said, well, don't worry, you'll be on Channel 9. And in 59 I joined Channel 9. And so I was with them until I was sort of forced into going overseas. The publicity in the papers are always saying, you know, I'm going, which I never said I was. But I was booked for the Johnny Carson show in America. And I said, all right, I'll go. And Elaine McKenna came back on a trip and she said, oh, don't go over there. Oh, it's dreadful. You don't know you're going to meet con men at the airport and all this and all that. So I changed my mind 2 weeks before I went, cancelled the Johnny Carson show, got on the Fair Sea and went to England with a singer in those days called Margaret Becker. And when we got, God bless Jackie Clancy, I got on the boat, and dear Jackie Clancy kept writing letters to Frankie Vaughan in London, saying, you must meet this girl, you've got to hear this girl, you know. When I got to London, I did meet Frankie Vaughan because he wanted to know who the hell was Jackie Clancy. he's you know, he isn't it awful my brain goes, and I get it. He was anxious to hear who this girl was and also who was Jackie Clancy. So I joined Frankie Vaughan's office and I toured with him, and I toured with David Frost and Kenny Cope from Coronation Street. We used to do a duet called Hands Off, Stop Mucking About Me, Makeup's All Over My Face. And we toured all round north and south of England. And then I sang on the London Palladium with Jerry and the Pacemakers and Adam Faith on the 24th of December 1963. And afterwards I had to race out to the airport because I was going to be a surprise on IMT. on Christmas Eve. Anyway, it came via America, and Frank Ifield got on the plane in New York. He'd just done a show in there, so we flew back together, and by the time there was snow in New York, and it delayed the plane, so I missed the last IMT. And Frank and I flew into Sydney on Christmas morning singing Christmas songs on the intercom of the plane.
It sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a break, have some more music? Now, we've chosen A Blossom Fell.
Oh, I like this song. It's a pretty song.
It's a beautiful song. Nat King Cole had a big recording with this, didn't he?
He did.
Let's see what Dorothy Baker does with it. Okay.
A blossom fell from off a tree. It settled softly on the lips. You turned to me. The gypsies say, and I know why. A falling blossom only touches lips that lie. A blossom fell, and very soon I saw you kissing someone new beneath the moon. I thought you loved me. You said you loved me. We planned together to dream forever. That dream has ended, for true love died the night a blossom fell and touched two lips that lied. Blossom fell, and very soon I saw you kissing someone new beneath the moon. I thought you loved me. You said you loved me. We planned together to dream forever. That dream has ended, for true love died the night a blossom fell and touched two lips that lied.
Oh, that's a lovely piece, Dorothy. That's well done. Great song.
Thank you.
A lovely song. Dorothy, you were mentioning Vera Lynn and how that all came about through the federal hotels.
Through Oliver Shaw.
You became known, and in fact, my nan used to call you Melbourne's Vera Lynn.
I did get that for a long time with the newspapers and with people.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Shaw was quite astute when he noticed it, because I hadn't typed myself on her because I didn't know who she was. But after he suggested I get the records and learn her songs, and I noticed that she and I both sing in the same key, and we both have that break in the voice.
Yes.
But had he never said that, my life would have probably gone in the direction of country and western, because I don't know what I do, but I mean, Diana Trask came back from America. We had lunch one day, and she said, "You know, you're mad you don't do more country, because you do it just naturally." She said, "No, I had to go to America and learn it." And I love singing country. My favourite at the moment is Crazy.
Yes.
And I Fall to Pieces.
Yeah.
Which is...
Patsy Cline.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love doing them.
Yeah.
But that's, I guess, I was labelled with the Vera Lynn, you know, and as I said, we do have the same break in our voice. My voice has dropped over the years. I sing a tone lower now than I did in those days. I would find that song you just played too high for me now.
Really? Really? How long were you involved with Nine and the variety shows there? Was it mainly IMT?
Oh, yes. But then I was at Channel 7 on the... what do they have? The Saturday Night Live.
And was it Sunny Side Up?
Sunny Side Up as well. And I've been on all the stations, on Channel 2 and on Channel 10 at the different shows they had.
Right. And I think I remember seeing you on telethons too.
Oh, yes. I used to go into the children's hospital.
Right.
I had my daughter. I'm a little red-headed daughter. When she was 2, I went on a telethon and... the television announcer that with the red hair, she sat on his neck. Isn't it awful? Mel Walden. I'm having this crisis that most people have when they get to my age, this mental block where the brain doesn't work.
We all forget sometimes, and it's most embarrassing when that happens, but we make allowances, you see. We don't worry too much about that.
Thank you for that.
But so you had this marvellous television exposure. Were you doing... you mentioned about going... Did you ever do any of the ship, entertainment?
I've been on nearly every ship. I was the first girl in Australia to sing on the Sitmar line, and that was back in 1954 or something like that. And the first ship was the Castel Felice. That was an old tub. And as a matter of fact, we went on a cruise. I was always doing the floor shows on the Sitmar line. There was the Castel Felice, the Fair Sea, the Fair Star and the Fair Sky.
Right.
And they kicked me off because after many years, I started with them in 53 and then I went over to London 63, 64, came back 65, did more of those, and I got engaged to one of the chief engineer. You're not allowed to fraternise with the crew. And he was coming on the Fair Sky from England. I was coming from Tahiti on the Fair Star. And he was sending telegrams and the captain was reading them. And so he dobbed us in and he was disembarked for 6 months and I was sacked for 6 months. And then I was asked to sing, Lionel York asked me to sing on the Achille maiden voyage, Achille Lauro, and the Angelina Lauro, and I met Giacchino Lauro, who was the son of the owner, and we became friends. We weren't anything else, truly. We were just friends, and he was a very good friend, and he gave me the job of singing every month, the first month on the Achille, second month on the Angelina, and I did all those cruises. I love the cruises. In fact, next December 28th, I'm leaving on the Pacific Sky. It's the first time I've ever had to pay for a cruise in my life. But I'm really looking forward to it. I love cruises.
That'd be marvellous. And you're working around still?
Very occasionally I do. I don't look for it. I know it's out there. If somebody rings and says, look, will you do a morning melodies? Or once a year I usually sing at the Rye RSL Club. And just a couple of weeks ago, for the last 2 months, I've done a show at the Blair Gowrie Yacht Club.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think when we spoke on the phone, you were down there.
Oh, I got this flu, though.
Yeah.
And, I was locked away in the house for 3 weeks with this bronchial infection that I caught.
It's been a wonderful career.
It's been. I've never wanted a career. I just wanted
developed.
fun, Yeah. I met Abe Saperstein over in London, and he wanted to take me to America. Abe Saperstein was the manager of the Harlem Globetrotters, and Vicky Carr and a couple of others. And he wanted me to go to America. And I was a silly girl, I thought, when I get to America, there might be a casting couch at the end of it, so I'm not going.
Yeah, as you probably.
I never ever needed a casting couch. I always said, if I can't get there on my voice, then I'm not getting there at all. But it was more like my life's been more fun than career. The career's been incidental. It's the fun and travelling and meeting people and doing that's been more, to me, more important.
Well, I know, you've given pleasure to so many Melburnians from your television and appearances and your live appearances, and the singing is just lovely. And you've still got it.
I'm very lucky, Alex. I'm very lucky. I never practice. My husband was a trumpet player with Channel 9, although we started working together when I was 18. And after we were married, I was going out to do a job, and I hadn't sung for 6 months. And he always practiced every night. Wouldn't do it in front of me, waited till I went to bed, and then he'd practice the trumpet.
Really?
And he said to me, you haven't opened your mouth to do a note for 6 months. Aren't you worried that you're not going to reach that note when you get out there on the show tonight? And I said, oh, I've never thought of it. What did you put that in my head for? And I went out and it was in my mind, so halfway through the show, But no, I just sing and I'm lucky it's just there.
Well, we're very lucky that you were there, and we're still love to hear you singing, Dorothy, and I think that we'll finish up the interview with another one of your songs, and we're going to play Vaya con Dios.
Oh, that'd be great. Just before we go,
Yep.
Once a month on the second Monday night of the month,
Yep.
we have a club called the Showbiz Club.
Right.
And all of the showbiz people get up and do one song each. And,
That'd be
you
marvellous.
come and have dinner, and that's at the Bentley RSL, right next
I
to
know
the
it.
supermarket.
I know
there.
it because our meetings are right opposite there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we have our meetings in the church hall.
Do you?
Yes, we certainly do. So we know the Bentley RSL.
You do, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So that's the once a month, the last...
On the second Monday of the month.
Excellent. Well, that sounds very good.
Anybody might like to come and...
Yeah, that
join
would be
in.
fantastic. And get a lot of old show business
there's
people coming along and doing a bit.
Yeah, Irene Hewitt, if you remember Irene,
Yes.
and Gavin O'Leary, who was Jack O'Leary's brother. He
Right.
comes to
Yes,
sing.
indeed.
And Susie Wilkes' father, who you see on the television, Barry Wilkes. He's
Yes.
a very nice singer.
Yeah.
And... there's a guy, he's so talented. He used to be the cruise director on all the Sitmar lines. That's Lindsay Edwards.
Of course.
He's excellent.
Yes.
And I want to do a show with Lindsay. I was actually booked to do a show with Frankie Davidson in November. Oh, sorry, Frank, I cancelled it because I want to do a show with Lindsay. So they said they'd give me another date. So hopefully that we'll do it
I'm
with
sure.
Helen Jowsey's band.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that'll all happen, and it's marvellous that you're still entertaining Melbourne. It's terrific.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun. for
It's a
me.
lot of fun. Let's go out with this song, Vaya con Dios, and my special studio guest has been Dorothy Baker. Thank you
Alex.
so much.
Thank you, Alex.
Now the hacienda's dark, the town is sleeping. Now the time has come to part, the time for weeping. Vaya con Dios, my darling. May God be with you, my love. Now the village mission bells are softly ringing. If you listen with your heart, you'll hear them singing. Vaya con Dios, my darling. May God be with you, my love. Wherever you may be, I'll be beside you. Although you're many million dreams away, each night I'll say a prayer to guide you, to hasten every lonely hour of every lonely day. Now the dawn is breaking through a gray tomorrow, but the memories we share are there